children often avoid listening to our words or suggestions?
It depends on uh, what the age of the child is, and also the context. Again, as I think we were discussing, often what is expected out of them and what their inner needs are need not always be compatible. Children have their own set of needs. Children have, owing to differences in their ways of responding, owing to their age. Say, for instance, let's. I don't know if I'm getting it correct, but then maybe you go to a mall or you go to a shop and you're not really planning to buy something for the child, but then the child says, "No, I want this." And then you say, no, it's not possible. We're not going to buy this because it's not in the plan, or because uh, I don't want to do it, or it's not something that we would want to buy for you. But the child disagrees. Now that's again kind of there's a disagreement there. So that there I think it's child's needs and what exactly is expected or demanded, or what exactly you are expecting or setting as a rule. So that's one way. Now, sometimes it could be in situations where you want the child to do something and the child disagrees with you. Say, for instance, you want your child to do his homework right now, but your child wants to go to play. I think maybe the scenario is much more close to what you were saying. So why does that happen? Again, it happens because the child has a different set of needs. The child has a different set of goals for himself, and you have a different set of rules. Now, how do we deal with these situations? See, with some children, it's easy. Children who are very aggressive, who always want to say no to what you're saying, it's going to be a hard time for you. It's important that the environment is a little more structured, where you set rules and firm boundaries. At the same time, use warm kind of where you would have to guide the child and explain to the child. So maybe so maybe say if it's the homework scenario, it's important that you tell the child in advance that this much or this much time or these many hours or these many minutes of your homework time would mean that you will be able to go to play right now. And if the child throws a tantrum and if the child disagrees and says that, no, I want to go in, then it's about how you would deal with that situation. So there again, it's important that you calm the child, connect to the child in ways that would help the child feel, validated, even if it's anger. See, when we say connect and validate the child, I think oftentimes we think that, it's not necessary if the child is angry. If the child is crying, yes, we can connect and we can hug the child and we can be, oh, no, even when the child is angry, often that's why I asked that question. It's much more intimidating or much more difficult for us as adults, to handle children when they express anger. So even if it's anger that they're expressing, it's because it comes from the emotional, right? I mean, they are looking at it in a very emotional way. I mean, you have a logic there. You say that, no, you have homework to complete. You have to do this, only then you will be able to go to school tomorrow. No, that the logic does not really work there. It's the emotional experience that is much more, much more big there for the child. So it's important to meet the child where the child is. So if it's anger, if it's sadness, if the child is crying, upset, you need to get down there, connect to the child, and then talk logically to the child. I don't know if I've answered the question.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, that's well answered, ma'am. Ma'am, she's asked, can you also explain what type of behavior children doesn't like in us and ignoring us in every situation?
Okay, yeah. Well, I've had some experiences, talking to children as part of my research. So, I mean, these are children who are a little older, 10, 12 year olds, who have always felt that, when adults dismiss their emotions, when they minimize their emotions, say, for instance, when you're upset about something and here's an adult who is actually capable of understanding the situation. Here's an adult who you look up to be, validating you, but then the adult just dismisses you, either avoids a particular emotion in you, or just refuses to talk to you about it, or even if you want to talk to this person just avoids your situation. That's one thing that puts them off. These are, I'm talking about 10, 12, 13-year-old children who are able to verbalize, or able to actually tell you what exactly they like, or what is it that they expect from adults. Sorry. Often in young children too, when punitive responses, dismissing responses, minimizing responses, make children feel, that it's very unsafe to express my emotion. It's unsafe because I will be ridiculed. It's unsafe because I will be, labeled as someone who's silly. I would be labeled as someone who's really creating a scene. So that actually makes them, go withdrawing, and they don't really later they wouldn't want to express their emotions, which becomes a very difficult situation later, because that will not really, that's not regulation, that's not healthy regulation. That will actually lead to a lot of consequences later, which are going to be negative for the child.
Have
Yeah.
you come across instances of emotions when corporal punishment are inflicted?
Could you repeat that? When corporal instances where? Yeah.
Punishments are inflicted.
Yeah. What about that? I didn't hear the first part.
Have you come across instances of emotions when corporal
Okay.
punishment are inflicted?
Yeah. Uh, See, that's a very important. I think that's a very important question. A lot of children, again, it depends on the age. Now, children, who are probably way past their primary school, or between primary and say maybe between 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I have seen instances where in fact, also with the clinics that I've worked in, some of these children, they avoid expressing their emotions. The resentment that builds in them, they don't really talk about their emotions. So it's like, okay, you go ahead. You want to hit me, you want to beat me, you want to punish me. Fine. Now that is one kind of a response. The other response is where the child literally is very afraid, becomes very fearful, becomes very anxious, and of course, there's almost like traumatic kind of reactions, almost like PTSD kind of reactions that are shown. And of course, there are children who cry, uh, who wouldn't really want to express anything at all. So I think it's. Uh, as educators, as parents, now whatever be the point, whatever be the uh, point that the child takes you or brings you in. I mean, we would say, right, that's a maximum, that it's just hit my limit. Uh, I would suggest that, I don't think corporal punishment could actually do anything to help the child deal with the situation. It's more, it comes more from your survival mode. You want to survive that situation. It's that, you want to be, it's your frustration as a parent, or as an adult who's in charge of the situation where who's not able to do anything, so wants to just take it out on the child. But otherwise, it does not really, it lacks purpose, and it's not going to meet any goal, meet yours or the child, or the child's. So what are the other ways that we could deal with the situation? I'm sure when we talk about corporal punishment, we will be also looking at very difficult behavior or challenging behavior problems of children. Whatever be the behavior problem, there would be an emotion associated. So when we talk about attunement, it is in trying to understand what exactly the emotion is there, and acknowledge the emotion. When we say connect to the child first, and then try and explain, or try and apply logic or rationalize with the child. That's very important.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for that. We have another question. Ma'am, at the beginning, you had said child's response will be based on emotional temperament. Can you explain a bit
Mhm.
about it?
Okay, yeah. Well, that's a very basic question. Uh, See, children are different in the ways they experience emotions. Not all children experience anger, sadness, or happiness in the same way. experience the emotion to express your emotions. So that's one dimension of a temperament, and it's actually biologically embedded. It's the individual differences in your ways of experiencing and expressing emotions are actually biological embedded. Means that there is a biological factor that contributes to it. It's like inherent. It's like an inbuilt kind of a capacity or an inbuilt kind of a component in. So there could be a child who would experience, sadness, who would feel upset very easily. Whereas there could be children who wouldn't really get upset that easily. The same as, as in us too, like even in adults. All of us do not experience or express emotions in the same way, right? You look at your own siblings or friends. I mean, some of us are very sensitive. Some of us have hypersensitive friends, or some of us have friends telling us that you're so sensitive. Why do you want to take things so? The ways you experience emotions is one way in which your temperament is different. Also, in how sociable you are. Like how we call extroverts, introverts in adult, among adults. Children also, young children also, you would see differences in how sociable they are, how comfortable they are in social contexts. Not all children are going to be the same. So there are some children who are very forthcoming in social situations, whereas there are others who are very shy, who are very withdrawn. But that's not a problem. Temperament is not a problem. It's the way you are built. It's the way they are.
Yeah, ma'am, how
Is
do
that
we
clear?
approach a child who is emotionally disturbed or mostly stay in their own world, like zoned out?
Okay. Uh, well, that's a very general question. Now, emotionally in one's own world. Okay, someone who is probably, I mean, I could think of a scenario where someone who's reserved. Let's look at someone who is, say, probably reserved, who does not really express oneself, who's someone who is I've heard a lot of teachers coming up and saying, that we have a child that in the class and who does not really respond, who's we know that she's capable, but then she does not really come up, she does not come up with answers, etc. She does not. So but teachers actually also tell us that when they talk to parents, parents actually give them a very different picture. At home, the child is absolutely bubbly and very sociable, etc. So this is a kind of profile. This is one kind of a profile where children are very close. They're very reserved. They don't really express themselves. Now there could be different reasons. One could be the temperament of the child. As I told you, maybe she is a inhibited kind of a person, someone who's shy, who's very reserved. Now, how can you help such a child? It's very important that when we look at attunement, as we were saying, it's important that we get down to the child's level, whichever be the age of the child. Be consistent in our ways of responding. If you're really keen on helping the child come out and talk and be much more sociable and interactive in a classroom environment, then it's you better be consistent. Yeah, one. With such a child, it's also important that you be very non-threatening, that you show positive, emotions on a consistent basis, where you validate the child. Don't use uh, uh, feedback or responses that would actually label the child. Why are you always so silent? You're so reserved. I've had experiences where, uh, in fact, some of my relatives who actually told me that whenever they call their kid's teacher, all that the teacher says is that, my son, your kid why is he so silent? Or why is she so silent? She does not talk. He doesn't interact. Now, I think it's important for us to understand as teachers or even as parents, not all children would interact, or not all children would have the need to interact. It's not always important, or it's not always important for everybody to be at the center of a social situation. There are children who have less needs in that particular domain. So it's important that we understand what kind why is it that a child, to come back to your question, why is it that the child is in her or his own world? Okay, there could be different reasons to it, but then if you look at it now from a temperamental perspective, I think that's one way of looking at it. I mean, one possible reason for why a child is probably, inside her own world would be that's her nature. It's important that, you create opportunities her, maybe, graduated kind of experiences where you don't really push her into extremely sociable kind of, activities that would require her to be extremely sociable, but maybe handhold her, help her gradually, uh, expose her to, activities in a graduated way, which would probably, help children. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am, for that. How can we calm a child who has rigid behavior?
Okay. Yeah, I think I saw that question. Yeah. I think as a lot of psychologists say that, for a child, for anybody for that matter, uh, to be healthy or to be functioning in a healthy way or to be adaptive in that manner, we either, it's important that we don't be completely dysregulated. Like, you don't follow rules, you're in a complete chaos. And it's also important that you don't be a complete rigid person, following everything, following rules, and be, all the time, just do the right things, etc., or just do things the way they want to do. There has to be a middle path. So it's important that children be socialized in ways which will help them to actually come and, to feel comfortable in that middle path. Children could be rigid because of various reasons. I mean, one, temperament could lead to it. Two, also the kind of parenting that they have been, subjected to. Maybe, very strict kind of parents, very, as we all should be knowing, strict parents, parents who use very punitive kind of responding. Punitive does not necessarily mean corporal punishment, but it could also mean a very minimizing, dismissive kind of responding. If the child has been subjected to that kind of a parenting or the kind of adult responses, then often, children could ways which are very rigid. Either rigid means, it could be either following only what, only certain kind of behaviors, or following only certain, or doing things only in a particular way, or behaving only in a particular way. So, that when they come to a different environment, that could actually make them a misfit. So it's important that we socialize the child in ways, in a very warm and consistent way, to, handhold the child, bring the child, look for reasons, ask the child, what is making them uncomfortable, what is the emotion associated with it. Child would behave in different ways. A behavior is always associated with some emotion. So asking the child as to, what is it that she's feeling at the moment, why is it that, she does not want to comply with a particular activity. Maybe, she does not want to do drawing right now. Maybe that's the rigid behavior that the teacher sees. Why is it, what makes her uncomfortable? So, or, look for nonverbal signs. Maybe the child is very visibly uncomfortable. So you can directly tell the child that, I understand that it's making you uncomfortable. Do you want to do something else? Okay, maybe we would do some other activity and we can come back to drawing. So creating a space, that will help the child to, be spontaneous. Maybe the child comes from a space that actually has socialized, or has actually conditioned the child in ways that actually has helped, that has actually made the child develop some of these habits. So it's important that you create a different setting for the child, which will actually help the child to experiment. Only then would the child, even if it's for the adult, it's the same, right? I mean, you're not comfortable if you see a very intimidating kind of a space. You won't be yourself. So it's important that you create a space that will help the child to come out of it and behave in much more spontaneous ways. Well, I'm not sure if, this is going to answer your question, but the essence is that, you try and understand the reason for the behavior. Get it from the child, ask the child, help her to talk about it, help her to talk about the emotion associated.
Yes, ma'am. We understand that. We have one last question we're going to take up because it's already 7:39. So, how do we handle a situation where a child demands our full attention and we would like to give our complete attention, but time is a constraint?
Okay. I'm sure, I think as parents, we experience this all the time. See, I think, yeah, maybe I think that probably is a takeaway message also. It's not about being a perfect parent. It's not uh, being a perfect parent is equal to building having an emotionally competent child. No, that's not how it is. It's about, how authentic you are to the child. As if I take you back to what we said, modeling for the child a set of behaviors, a set of ways of responding that will actually help the child uh, to feel comfortable, respect you. There's also a mutual respect. There's also, the child gets to understand that, okay, here's someone, here's my mom. My mom is probably, or my dad is experiencing, is busy right now. But then, she or he understands that I need her or his attention. But it's okay, I can wait. Okay, so it's like, this is mutual kind of an understanding. So it's not about being available for your parent, I mean, for your child all the time. But it's about being. Am I audible?
Yeah, ma'am, your voice is cracking actually. We can't
Yeah,
hear.
yeah. So, say
Yeah,
if
now
it's
it's
if you're busy with something, yeah, if you're busy about maybe you're doing your work and your child comes up to you, so it's okay. I mean, yeah, if you're not that busy, maybe you could probably give her a hug and say that, okay, mom, I'll come after a while. I'm busy. Yeah. So the idea is to be not available to your child all the time, but whenever you are there, it is being attuned to what the child feels. The child, it's like you're able to acknowledge. You might not necessarily solve the problem for the child, but then yes, here's my mom or my dad understands what I feel right now, and she has her needs. She has her. She also needs her time. So it's fine. So it's the space that you provide where everybody, both you and your child, be it the teacher and the student, or the parent and the child. It's like it's a space that you create where you're able to be genuine, you're able to be authentic. Right now I don't have the time for you, it's fine. I mean, you don't have to be scared as a parent. If I say this, oh, will I be actually causing worry to my child? Will my child feel upset? Will she feel depressed, or will she hate me? We don't have to be insecure about that. It's okay. There's always a next chance. I mean, there's always a chance, because it's a continuous process. It's a continuous process of being consistently available in ways that are sensitive to your child's needs. They might be, in contrast to your need, but it's okay. I mean, you can tell them that right now, this is what I think is important for me. So, could you wait for a while, or I'll be there? I'm sure all of us have these experiences. I have two children, one who just entered college and one who's a teenager. So I experience these. I mean, often it happens, because especially, I think, I'm sure mothers or fathers could relate when the need from, if there are two, three children, and if they are all from different age groups, then I think the kind of responses that we will have to give are also very different. So it's like, you have a toddler with whom you would probably be playful. But if you have a teenager or an adolescent, you would have to be a little more mature in ways of responding. Yeah, that's precisely the business of parenting. I mean, you have to be. Uh, it's about being involved with your child's mental life. You will not have to solve all problems. You don't have to be there and do this for the child, but then letting the child know that, yes, I'm here, connecting to the child at whichever level the child is experiencing, whether it's an emotional overwhelming situation that the child is experiencing, or it could be even a joyful moment that the child wants to share with you. I've had instances where my kids would be on a video game and would want to share with me the experience they had. Well, to be frank, I've responded in both ways. Sometimes when I tell them that, there are times when I've told them, I don't understand what you're talking about. And sometimes I've actually sat through and tried to understand what their feelings are. So I think all of us go through these experiences. It's not about being a perfect parent. It's about being sensitive.